Hello everyone, my name is Nilanjan Chatterjee. Today we are going to talk about Ajivikas, a comprehensive historical analysis. Okay, as we have already seen that in our video, we have already discussed Vedic age, Vedic literature, and now we have come to the phase where we'll discuss the heterodox sects. In this video, we'll be strictly talking about the Ajivikas, and the next video will concentrate on the Charvakas, and gradually we'll move on to Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, so as we can see in the very first slide, Ajivikas, an ancient Indian religious and philosophical sect that emerged during 6th century BCE. Okay, 6th century BCE, right on the eve of the decline of the later Vedic age. And this presentation of mine will delve into their fascinating history, unique doctrines, and lasting impact on Indian philosophy. Before we get into our main discussion, let me tell you one thing. We, the Universal Group of Institutions, have started our admission program. If you are interested in joining our college, please visit our website. We have BA, BSc, and BCom courses along with integrated UPSC and IAS coaching. Apart from that, we have Universal PU College along with CSAT and CUET training programs. Okay, so feel free to join our college, and please remember one thing: if you use the referral code of NIL009, I'm repeating, if you use a referral code of NIL009, you'll get some attractive discounts. Okay, so let's come to the very first slide, rediscovering the Ajivikas. Okay, the Ajivikas emerged during a period of profound spiritual and intellectual transformations in ancient India. Okay, alongside Buddhism and Jainism and other Sramana traditions, they presented a radical alternative to Vedic orthodoxy. As we've already seen that from the later Vedic period, the lifestyle of the common people the lifestyles were constantly hegemonized, dominated by Vedic ritualism and customs. So these sects, smaller heterodox sects like the Ajivikas, started questioning the Vedic ritualism and the Vedic hegemony. Okay, despite their early prominence, the Ajivikas gradually vanished from the historical landscape, leaving behind limited textual and archaeological evidence. Okay. However, their contributions, particularly concerning determinism, asceticism, and metaphysical thought, continue to intrigue scholars and historians. We'll be giving a rough outline of the Ajivika philosophy and their historical, importance. Uh, so our next slide talks about the socio-religious context of 6th century BCE. The very first point that I want to mention is the economic and social changes, okay, that marks the 6th century BCE. Increased agricultural production, one. Point number two, urbanization. And point number three, expansion of trade networks led to the emergence of powerful kingdoms and urban centers, cities, particularly in the Ganges Valley. So when societal configurations got more complicated, okay, when multiple cities are emerging, multiple occupations are emerging, Brahmanism sort of got a backlash from 6th century onwards. Okay, so that created further complication in the jati system, and which resulted in the emergence of the heterodox sects challenging the authority of Brahmanism and the ritualistic lifestyle of the Vedic culture. Okay, next point is the decline of Vedic rituals, as I've already mentioned. Questioning Brahminical orthodoxy and dissatisfaction with ritualistic practices paved the way for new philosophical and spiritual paradigms. And one of those paradigms is the one we are talking about today. Okay, the Ajivikas. Third point, rise of Shramana movements. Okay, the Ajivikas, along with Buddhists and Jains, emerged as the foremost proponents of alternative worldviews. Okay, so we are not sticking to Vedic way of looking at the world. We are finding for alternatives, and the Ajivikas are giving us alternatives to look at human lives, to look at the entire world. Okay, to look at something that is tangible, that we can touch, and something that we can't touch, that is the abstract. Okay, so that automatically uh, offers you a way to get out of the Brahminical social order. Okay, so Makkhali Gosala, the founder of the Ajivikas. Don't forget the name, Makkhali Gosala, the founder of the Ajivikas. Okay, born into a humble family in a cowshed. Okay, that is a Gosala or Goshala. Gosala's early experiences of wandering and asceticism were influenced by his father. His father's name was Mankha or Makha, and his mother's name was Bhadda. Okay, possibly his father was possibly a professional mendicant or potter. His father was a professional mendicant. That means his father used to live a life where he won't belong. I mean, he won't possess worldly belongings. So he would look for bhiksha. He would be performing begging. Okay, or according to some historical sources, Mankha, that is the father of Makkhali Gosala, was actually a potter. Okay. Next point, association with Mahavira. Okay, Gosala became Mahavira's disciple. As we all know, Mahavira was the pioneer. He was the founder of Jainism. Okay, and Gosala, Makkhali Gosala, who happened to be the pioneer of Ajivika philosophy, became Mahavira's disciple, and they wandered together for 6 years, practicing asceticism and engaging in philosophical debates. Okay. Next point, establishment of the Ajivika sect. Fundamental differences in spiritual doctrines led to a schism, and Gosala established the Ajivika sect independently. Okay, a schism between the Jainas and the Jains and the Ajivikas. Okay, developing deterministic philosophy that rejected the efficacy of personal actions. Okay, Ajivikas talk about a deterministic brand of philosophy, okay, that the Jains do not subscribe to. So there was a clash between the Jains and the Ajivikas, which led to a rift. Okay. Next point, the doctrine of Niyati, that is the core corpus of the Ajivika philosophy, the pillar of Ajivika philosophy. Okay, Niyati, that is at the top of the tower, is fate or determinism, which is about to happen, which is must be happening. Okay, the universe governed by an impersonal and unalterable cosmic force. Okay, that has already fixed our fate, that is Niyati. Okay, the next point is predestination. Okay, every event including human actions is predestined. Okay, the next point is cycles of rebirth. All souls bound to undergo 8.4 million cycles of birth and rebirth according to Ajivika philosophy. You understand? And inevitable liberation, which is the moksha. Okay, which is the moksha. That is, after completing all these three stages, you finally reach to moksha. That is the ultimate liberation of your soul according to Ajivika philosophy. First, you start with Niyati, that is determinism, which is about to happen, which should be happening. Predestination, everything is predestined. Cycles of rebirth, okay, there are 8.4 million cycles of birth and rebirth, and everything ends at moksha, that is liberation, that is your death. Philosophical and metaphysical concepts of Ajivika philosophy. It underscores proto-atomic theory. Okay, Ajivikas proposed that the universe was composed of minute particles, that is called paramanu, which combined in predetermined ways under the influence of Niyati. Niyati has fixed the composition of Paramanus according to Ajivika philosophy, and that is also understood as a proto-atomic philosophy, a proto-atomic theory. Next point, nature of soul. The Ajivikas asserted that the soul, that is Jiva, okay, Jiva, was bound to an inevitable cosmic path with liberation achieved passively rather through active spiritual striving. Okay, you don't need to live an active spiritual life. Okay, it will passively, liberation will passively, you will attain liberation. And the soul, according to Ajivika philosophy, is called Jiva. Unique perspective, their beliefs offered a counterpoint to prevalent doctrines of karma and rebirth advocated by other traditions, including Jainism, demonstrating engagement with natural philosophy and attempts to rationalize the physical world. Okay, you have to rationalize, according to Ajivika philosophy, you have to rationalize the physical world, the world of physical appearance. Okay, the next point is the ascetic practices and monastic life of the Ajivikas. One point is nudity. Okay, symbol of renunciation and detachment from worldly life. You deny all your worldly possessions, including your clothes. So the practice of nudity. The next point is extreme austerities. Okay, prolonged meditation and periods of silence. Okay, that means you need to detach yourself from the living world. Okay, from the chaos of the living world. That is extreme austerities. Next point is natural dwellings. Many Ajivikas lived in natural caves and monastic communities. And the next point is distinctive practices. Long periods of standing motionless and subjecting themselves to harsh natural elements. You are not defending yourself against the natural, the harshness of nature. Okay, so you are becoming a subject to all sorts of natural harshness. That is another way of Ajivika lifestyle. The Ajivikas and the other sects. Now we'll talk about how the other heterodox sects like the Buddhists, the Jains, they received the Ajivikas. The very first point is Buddhist criticism. So the Buddhist texts often criticize Ajivikas very rigorously. Frequent criticisms in Pali Canon for deterministic philosophy and perceived lack of ethical conduct. So, Buddhist criticism was that Ajivika philosophy is too deterministic, okay, and it lacks ethical conduct. It doesn't talk about moral or ethical standpoints of human beings. Next, the Jain perspectives is that nuanced dynamic due to Mahavira's early association with Makkhali Gosala, but ultimate rejection of deterministic worldview. Why? Because neither Buddhism nor Jainism talk about determinism as such. So they were both critical about Ajivikas. And philosophical debates, common debates between Ajivika and Buddhist monks emphasizing karma and individual agency. Okay, as we've already discussed, karma was negated by Ajivikas, and how the Buddhists, perceived the notion of karma, and they had a prolonged intellectual debate regarding the notion of karma. Okay, patronage and influence during Mauryan period. Emperor Bindusara's reign. Ajivikas enjoyed prosperity under Bindusara, believed to be a follower of the sect. Okay, the Mauryan Empire emperor Bindusara believed to be a follower of the Ajivika sect, and royal patronage enabled establishment of monasteries and supported dissemination of the teachings of the Ajivikas. Okay, the next point is Ashoka's conversion to Buddhism. Okay, Ashoka's withdrawal of support from rival sects and promotion of Buddhist institutions contributed to the, the decline of the Ajivikas. All right, and the rise of organized religions as Buddhism and Jainism rose to prominence with structured institutions and with the patronage, with the help of monarchical power, the Ajivikas started declining. So, decline and disappearance of the Ajivikas. Point number one, lack of structured canon. We do not see a particular Ajivika text to disseminate all the teachings and philosophies of Makkhali Gosala. Absence of formalized religious text or philosophical text. Point number two, reliance on oral traditions. Since one of the parts of Ajivika asceticism was to live a very simple lifestyle. It doesn't rely on textual traditions, rather it relies on oral traditions, which made it difficult for them to preserve and transmit teachings over generations. Okay, the third point is weak institutional framework. Okay, lack of strong organizational structure compared to Buddhism and Jainism. Buddhism focused on laity, Sangitis. Jainism focused on the Tirthankaras. And the Ajivikas did not have that kind of organized setup like the other heterodox sects like Buddhism and Jainism. And finally, geographical shift. Disappearance from northern India with a lingering presence in Tamil Nadu for a few more centuries. Okay, so the Ajivikas roughly disappeared from the northern parts of India. They remained there in the southern part, particularly in the Tamil Nadu region, uh, which resulted in a gradual decline in their philosophy. The legacy of the Ajivikas, the philosophical contributions, they enriched Indian thought through debates on fate, okay, free will, and metaphysical inquiry. Okay, their rigid their rigid determinism provided a counterpart or counterpoint to widely accepted doctrines of karma and moral responsibility. Okay, which uh, which negates determinism. Intellectual challenges, the questions posed by the Ajivikas continue to inspire academic discussions, highlighting their lasting impact on philosophical discourse. And of course, historical significance, as we've already discussed. Despite not surviving as a lasting religious tradition, the Ajivikas represent an important chapter in diverse landscape of ancient Indian philosophy. Thank you very much. That is it for today. Next day, we'll be concentrating on the Charvakas. We'll talk about the Charvakas. Stay tuned and feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you again.